So I thought I would start off this series of videos on marijuana legalization with a kind of a brief overview of where we're at in the United States as far as marijuana legalization. I made this map. You can see in the legend here the blue states are legal. The medical use states are this kind of orangey color, and then the not legal are magenta. We now have 18 states. Alaska is not shown here because I didn't want to have too much compression in the middle part of the map. Alaska is legal. New York and Virginia became the most recent states to legalize recreational marijuana. We're talking about recreational use. Most of these states allow retail sales. Some do not. And there's a lot of variation between the degrees of legalization. I could obviously have made this map a lot more nuanced than it is. Some states have some degree of decriminalization. Nebraska, you probably won't get arrested for small amounts of marijuana. We're talking like less than half an ounce. North Carolina, if you get arrested with less than half an ounce, you'll get a ticket. It's basically a class 3 misdemeanor, they call it in North Carolina, and it's probably up to $200 fine, I guess, depending on how many times you've been caught with weed. And some states seem to be close to legalizing for recreational use. Connecticut's getting close. I'll do a separate video on that. And as you can see, the West is pretty much everything's legal. In fact, you can drive from Washington to California. All 3 states have retail sales. You can drive from the Canadian border to the Mexican border, and if you have a less than an ounce of weed, the cops aren't even going to care about it. California, Washington, of course, was the first state to legalize recreational weed, and we'll be talking extensively about that. By the way, all of this is part of our new ebook I wrote with a couple of former students of mine. It's available on the website. It's called After Legalization, and what we're trying to do is look at the effect that legalization has had on the states. And as I'll show in later videos, all the worry about legalizing recreational marijuana that would drive up crime rates and addiction rates and all of that, none of it's panned out. In fact, arrest rates have gone down quite precipitously in some of these western states. And just to continue the discussion, I'll wrap up here pretty quick. 18 states have legal weed. A total of 39 have some degree of legalization. There's only 11 that don't have any degree of legalization other than maybe decriminalizing small amounts. So breaking this down kind of as a percentage of population, almost 40%, because you got some big states in here, New York, California, these are 2 of the most populous states. Almost 40% of the population over 21 has access to legal recreational weed. Almost 79% have access to some degree of weed, so if they have a medical marijuana license in these states that are yellow. So I'll wrap up this video, and I want to do a separate video on how weird this is, because you have these states, such degrees of variation in legalization in these states, and of course it's still illegal under federal law, which sets us up for some very strange consequences. So I'll start fleshing this out in subsequent videos.